Deciding now. I pity the fool.
My CPU is a neural net processor, a learning computer.
Can you see the paperwork from us?
You're fired.
That's the total 3 chart representing the combined market cap of every single altcoin, excluding Ethereum and Bitcoin. And as we can see, it's poised, crossing previous local highs, ready for another leg upwards. This time, hitting the $1 trillion mark will be the prior all-time high, and we're still months away from quantitative easing. So much has been going on for crypto right now that can be directly correlated to our bags as we're speaking. This downside, of course, creating this rounded bottom formation with the steep upward wick is all based on FOMC policy, which is one of the leading catalysts, is one of the leading fundamental pieces of information that's missing from the majority of crypto traders' bag of tools. Their information. There's so much research and good into on-chain data and so little into monetary policy. But as we can see, as the FOMC decides to cut rates right here, it completely changed the dynamics. And this market's much different than the others. Anyone who's been following FOMC knows. Powell is late to the party. They were supposed to step up and be cutting rates way before. And this has everything to do with the election. This is an article about Donald Trump saying that I'm the president of the United States. I know so much about business. Everything I do becomes huge. Therefore, I should be in charge of the FOMC as well. What he wants to do is get rates down to zero. And for everybody who knows Satoshi's secret or has been following this channel for a while, that is music to your ears. For everybody else who's just discovered this channel or you're not familiar with FOMC monetary policy, this isn't some niche that we're trying to articulate creatively. It's on every single channel on television, hidden in plain sight. And it's the most important thing that you can contemplate to increase your gains in crypto. Regulation and monetary policy go hand in hand, as we've detailed the studies previously. And right now, there are 18 states suing Gary Gensler over unconstitutional reach. Gensler's gone too far, and they want him to stop now. This is obviously epically huge for crypto. Meanwhile, new ETF filings are starting to stack up. Reading the ones that are on deck, next up, Ripple, XRP, and Litecoin. For those of us in the Kaspa community, we know Kaspa is competing directly with Ripple as they're either filing right now or have already completed what's known as an ISO 222 compliance. This allows bank-to-bank transfers. Very few cryptos have them, but those that do, like XRP, rely on it for their bread and butter. Litecoin, obviously the second best proof of work cryptocurrency. More talk of grayscale here. Now, the rumor around the water cooler, what everyone's been talking about, is this right here. On the Kraken homepage, we can see as clear as day, Kaspa's stepping up. They are literally posting it on their roadmaps of we are about to drop Kaspa into a listing. And when we dive into the technical analysis, remember, we never do naked TA. The world of charting has gotten such a bad name over the years because
they are technically proficient.
So many creators and charters just do naked TA. It's so important that you back up all of your charting reads, whether this is a falling wedge, a cup and handle, with fundamentals. And the reason why they're missing these fundamentals is because they don't connect monetary policy to their charts or to their trading for that matter. Kaspa's passing a massive key resistance using this exact same method just to highlight to you once again how effective it is on any chart. This is the Bitcoin chart. So we projected right as we were crossing into 80,000 that Bitcoin was going to run up and find massive resistance and support levels at 86 and 93,000. Using this repeating trend line system. Now, how does this work? What are you talking about repeating trend lines? Here's the catch, and this is very relative for what's been going on with Kaspa, and it's going to add tons of insight into all your trading. Cryptos, completely different than stocks with their strict halving and emission schedules, this affects the chart. This sends shockwaves through it. We can see this on a broad scale every 4 years as the halving takes place. Bitcoin spikes to the upside. Of course, examining this phenomenon closer, we connect it with monetary policy. Everybody knows as the FOMC massively cut rates here. And of course, this is an oversimplified version, and we're about to get into this more detail as we take a look into the quantitative easing. But just to make it a simplified version, as the FOMC cuts rates, and then as President Trump is pushing for, saying, I want 0 interest rates by the FOMC to help build America, make them great again. These are the 1-year Treasury bonds. This is one of their largest holdings, and you can see this massive unlock. And it's not just on crypto, it's market-wide. Tesla, GameStop. February 2020, this is, of course, the start of the peak a year later. February 2020 on the total 3, it's here. You can go to Tesla, Bitcoin, all of them seeing massive rockets to the upside as the FOMC quantitative easing starts putting more cash on the street. They try to make this as complicated as heck, but it's actually much simpler. And right now, the reason why Wall Street and everybody is gearing up speculating on this bull run that's about to take place is because they know the Fed's about to back off from quantitative tightening. The Fed's still not putting money out on the street. They're still reining it in. This is another way to look at that prior chart, spewing of everything to the upside, adding liquidity to the market. Right here again, February, the Fed starts buying back those bonds. That's what this massive spike shows. This is how much the FOMC is holding on their balance sheet, something that they talk about during the FOMC meetings. This massive spike up, all this is doing is putting cash in the hands of BlackRock, State Street, Jane Street, and then they're going to turn around and put it into risk on assets. You can see this correlated all the way down to, notice this spike right here. The Fed buys a ton of bonds back right on this date, February 27th. Looking at the total 3, February 27th, we see the final peak as this added liquidity enters the market. So right now, the way that this is cranking is the Fed is still buying back. So they're reverse engineering this. Soon, this will go to just dead even, a flat line, which is very bullish with all the M2 money printing. And if Donald Trump gets his way, they'll even start what's known as quantitative easing, which will be even more bullish, rocketing to the upside. But everybody wants to talk about this Kaspa breakout, and it is on like Donkey Kong. Finally, all of the fudsters in Kaspa are getting put in their place. I was reading a tweet by House of Crypto, and he said, can you guys tell me why the Kaspa community is so cult-like? It's actually not the Kaspa community. It's the fudsters. This has been going on since the dawn of time. People have been, because Kaspa has such massive upside, trying to validate why they didn't buy it. Knowing this as being a Kaspa content creator, since back here we started uploading videos on it, waiting for the pullback, loading the gun, all correlated with FOMC. Back here when it was under 2 cents, do you know what everybody was saying? Everybody. On social media, on videos, huge Twitter people, they would just say, no, Kaspa's already done like 100x. There's no way it's going up. All those guys are going to sell in your face. It's over. Utilizing these FOMC data. And this is one of the reasons why Kaspa is such a powerful crypto. It has a direct correlation to those quantitative easing charts. What are you talking about, Jesse? How can you make that assumption? It's as clear as day. When we look at this chart, this is an arrow showing every FOMC meeting that had a bullish effect on Kaspa. It's every other one or every third. So this one right here, the rest of altcoins were in a bloodbath. It was a complete fire sale. That was back here. We were actually short on the market there. So everybody else was kind of like, oh, we're just going to wait for our bags to pick back up. We were aggressively trading, making money. So we were more honed in. You know that feeling when you're winning and then you keep stacking wins up. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. What to do when you're making mistakes, how to take a slice of humble pie and reassess your own trading, pointing out what's been going on so you can improve. But when you're winning, you put in more efforts with the grinding, you know, you just continue to stack. When it rains, it pours. So we're in this massive short squeeze on AVAX. Everything's dumping because the FOMC raised rates. Meanwhile, Kaspa's actually moving upward. And to us, this was a massive signal that it was connected to this bond market. Using hindsight, we now realize that Marathon Digital, on their desk, they've got 24-point reports from guys on MIT detailing Kaspa to BlackRock, Jane Street, all of Marathon Digital. Using hindsight, we can see it was them that's loading the bags. But we had always speculated that the big dogs, the investment banking class, they were the ones scooping up Kaspa down here. And to have that later validated before the bull market just underlines how crucial this bag is. They even protected it with a gamma support level, just like they did the Bitcoin ETFs. Remember Binance? How weird is it Binance has options, futures on Kaspa? And they did this way back like 400 days ago. The reason they did that is to protect Marathon Digital's investment. They bought all that hardware and they know how volatile and exposed they are. They want to protect it, so they open futures. This creates gamma protection. They did the exact same thing on Bitcoin. Let's get this cleaned up. They did the exact same thing on Bitcoin. After they seed funded their ETF down here, oh, Coinbase now does futures, protecting themselves. And Kaspa's one of the only cryptos I've found that has gamma protection from the big dogs, which is just, dude, it's huge, ready to rock it. And what we're looking at here is, of course, this is the repeating trend line system. This is those fluctuations that keep happening over and over again on cryptocurrencies. It's how on Bitcoin we are able to identify these exact turning points to the day, to the dollar. When you become a proficient operator in this trading system, this is a standard operating procedure. It takes your game to the next level. There's a group of traders that were trading with us inside the Discord, loads of talented people. By the way, I was really surprised in the meme coin section of Discord. I started brainstorming with the guys and dropped a new listing idea, and to see what they do to vet meme coins. Of course, I don't trade meme coins. Our focus is on AI, layer ones, DeFi. From focusing in on those sectors, we've been crushing the markets hands down. And this technical analysis that we're about to look at, see these repeating trend lines in the white and gold? They just keep happening over and over again. And knowing that this one was so big, this is how we were able to initiate the Kaspa short sale. We actually contacted that kid Archie type when he was buying Kaspa all throughout here. And we were like, hey man, you know, I've got kids your age. I've been in the market for a long time. Let me give you a hand and show you what's going on. And he just blocked me. Just trying to help the community, knowing that this was going to blow up in his face and be, you know, not good for Kaspa, but he just blocked me. So they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear about it. Doesn't matter how right you are. Let's take a look at this breakout, because this was easy to chart. This one that just recently took place once we utilized the X and Y axis trend lines. And these have helped us when you combine them with classic patterns. Everybody knows, yeah, we got the Moonwell before anybody else. We were first on the scene to grab Moonwell, but that's no big deal. We also were able to find out exactly, this was some of our first rationalizations, when the top would be in. So everybody inside VIP, we're going to reassess at 8.2. We've been saying hold off on Moonwell because we've got a big pullback incoming and we're going to buy it for an extreme discount price. This is the application of classical patterns combined with fundamentals, very powerful stuff. But what's been a real rip to the upside has been these layer one projects, and we've been having a ton of posts. This is from way back in October. Getting everybody ready for this is render. Buying at 5 with these scales to the upside. Here, we're only at this $7 level that we had marked out. There's still a lot more upside on render. And what we're looking at here, and this is important because it's going to apply to what we're about to do on Kaspa, is an augmented wick-off breakout system. This is actually originally done for stocks, but when you apply it to crypto, particularly with these repeating trend lines,
flawless victory.
It's uncanny how good these callouts are. So putting everything together, always realizing that the swing low was going to be right around October 30th and ended up being on November 5th. And then we've got here, we're trying to catch this for, there's a repeating falling wedge. So just because the total 3 is in a falling wedge, and here's the thing, this is the exact same two trend lines. We just literally right click, clone. See that? It's the exact same trend line. Both of them are. It's those repeating trend lines. Knowing that all of these altcoins, Render, Solana, and AVAX, they've all got this exact same falling wedge. Even Bitcoin has it. So we're scheming up for Solana, buying zones here. AVAX, buying zones here. Getting ready to do what's called a multiplier trade. Multipliers are huge and can help you out a lot. Obviously, your target asset, probably Kaspa, one of the go-tos, perhaps it's AI or some DeFi, but catching a multiplier trade is where it's at. So congrats to everybody inside the group who got their hands on those, or this other recent winner, did you guys hear about PAL AI? They're now going to be joining with FET. That was not a good day for PAL, but this is an Alex Becker pick that we have a 24-point checklist on. And this is a recent trading plan. There's the buy zone. I remember hearing people in Discord chatting about grabbing this one. What we're looking at here is the 24-point checklist portfolio. This one right here, Blender, when we wrote the trading plan, we actually says this is a do not buy. This is our one report for projects that you will get wrecked on. Riggedy, wrecked, son! And what it shows is how important this tool is. The reason being, obviously, we thought Blender was going to be good, and it made it through so much initial vetting, kind of what you can do by eye, scanning the websites, using a couple of web tools, reading some articles. This was groomed to be a top contender, but once we broke out our special tool, which leaves no stone unturned, we realized that this was bunk. So we finished the report anyway, just to tell people not to buy it. So let's go ahead and dump this one. Look at what we got here. 3 months, 400.5, 125, almost 300. And then this recent desync trade, which was a double up at one point. These are all 24-point gem verified. And we have training manuals, printouts. You can get your hands on all of these reports in detail. Reading these reports, even if you've already done, especially if you've already done deep dive research, will bring your assessment of altcoins up to the next level. Get you where you need to be. And we'll start talking about this and some altcoins that are going to get everybody wrecked, like Alphium. Can see some upside, but the thing is, it's a meme coin on chain. The team has done a great job faking everybody out. And we're just trying to warn everybody. It's not what people think it is. So let's add on to this Kaspa repeating trend line. So everybody can see these are the two trend lines that repeat: x-axis, y-axis. The original y-axis was down here. And you can see in our early Kaspa videos, we are always trying to clone this and figure where it would fall into the chart. This is a symmetrical triangle. This is when the FOMC raised rates. So that's monster bearish. So this symmetrical triangle obviously breaks to the downside. Once we started catching support here, we realized it's a go. And we are able to load the bag under 2 cents. So that's your y-axis. When you correlate an angled Fibonacci tool on this, and this is what we were doing on that Bitcoin call out, that was like almost psychic, where it caught these exact levels. So we had this exact setup all the way back here during the handle pullback. This was the Fibonacci tool we're using in all of our videos. You can just go back and double check if you want to see those old videos, and look what happens. When it breaks to the upside, this original trend line from back here is now acting as a resistance. So everything's slightly at an angle, and this could be considered a form of the power law, just with like a flat map. So super cool. I hear you guys chatting about an Alex Becker meme coin. Make sure we run that through the KRC20 Discord section in our VIP, because there's guys in there who have a whole 24-point system for meme coins, which is great. They really are up to their stuff there. They know what's going on. So I'm pretty impressed with the group's meme coin work, even though I don't do meme coins. So here's what we're doing. We're adding a Fibonacci pitch onto this. Now, this has been very helpful for us throughout the entire pullback. And this gravitational field in yellow, this is part of that wick-off method. This is how we are able to know to the day and to the dollar. Kaspa was going to max out here at 18 cents on September 18th and pull back to 12.5. This is all from this repeating trend line system. And there are other operators of it. I'm a decent operator. There's people that are way better at utilizing this system already who are technical analysis. This can alter your game. I've got guys inside VIP that have 50x, 77x leverage trades on Kaspa utilizing this 10-cent gamma wall. They're just like, yeah, well, I'm going for it. They're just loading up with like massive leverage trades. One of the mistakes that I've been making is utilizing way too much leverage, I think, as compared to back here. We were getting away with murder doing these 10x leverage trades. Back here, we did one. Here and here, we did 10 and 7x. The market's getting much more volatile now, so I'm going to start gearing back in the callouts the leverage trades from 10x to 6x just to avoid that choppiness. So what we're looking at here is this gravitational field that we knew was going to stop it. This is the big resistance. And in it, it's so wide. The rest of them were much easier to surpass. This is so wide that it's got its own Fibonacci angle to it with a golden pocket. So here's the thing. This golden pocket is running into the y-axis support. That's the exact same support off the bottom of the cup and handle, remember? It's a very key trend line, and we dipped below it for a bit, but that's all fair in love and war because, look, we dipped above it for a bit here. So we're kind of coloring outside the lines. We're back in the lines because as soon as we touched it, it's rocketing to the upside. Now, an amazing operator would have been able to put together the leverage trading plan right here. That would have been epic, as well as I want to show you guys something else. Everybody just saw the recent Pepe breakout. If we look at Pepe, and this was something that I was about to type to everybody, hand of God, and I was just like, yeah, we don't really do meme coins. In hindsight, obviously, we should have dropped this call out. Looking at Pepe, look at this date. February 25th is when Pepe rocketed. Look at this. February 25th. So Pepe is directly drawing off Kaspa. We get a pump here. As soon as this pump starts to deviate from Kaspa, it jumps right into Pepe. Like to the day, to the dollar. I watched it all unfold in hindsight, and I wish I could have got that out to the group and dropped some cash on it because that would have been sick. Forward looking, this has become such a prominent reoccurring event. When Kaspa starts to really rocket later, I mean, there's no reason why not to think that's going to play right into Pepe. And this is from a non-meme coin trader. So here's what's going down. We cross this gravitational field, and now it's runway to the upside. As we can see every previous time, breakouts, breakouts, breakouts. Back here, we kind of got sideways and upward motion. So in the most bearish scenario, we're kind of going to be going sideways and upward, but there's an imminent breakout just so close because of the quantitative easing. The Kaspa team has paired the crescendo 10 BPS upgrade, which is going to be huge. Meanwhile, the KII, there's a member that's been releasing information to our VIP group showing us they've got two different teams that are ready to connect Kaspa to the Ethereum virtual machine. Offers on the table. That will be epically huge. Amazing. Of course, one of the Kaspa team members joined our VIP. Perhaps they were interested in the repeating trendline system, seeing how we are able to make these almost uncanny level callouts again, and again. Maybe they wanted to take a look at that, or perhaps it was the 24-point vetting system, managed learning system, standard operating procedure. I'm an average trader who has destroyed the market and crushed all the other content creators around. Top performing, even with the mistakes that we've made, like utilizing too much leverage on this recent Kaspa trade. This is my first miss. We've had flawless Kaspa leverage trades break out until yesterday. But yeah, standard operating procedures, manage learning systems. This is how you do business today. You got to have everything organized, ready to go. You can't do this off the top of your head. It's impossible. The next massive resistance is up here. And we've already seen, using that golden pocket trend line, that we found resistance there before. So the next massive pause is right around 15.5 cents. And once we break above that, it's 18 cents. So 18 cents is right around the corner anytime. We've got an FOMC meeting coming up on December 17th. And in the scenario that they cut rates again, it is on like Donkey Kong.
Exciting now.
Without any doubt, Kaspa will be rocketing on that FOMC meeting. As we've seen how massively correlated Kaspa is with the FOMCs. For anybody who's doubting the validity of watching financial television, this is what they're talking about. And you can go to college for it. It takes years to master. But you only need to know enough to trade off of it. It's a pleasure. Just make sure the next time that you're ready to have a study session in crypto, you want to start getting into doing your own research, take a moment and start to study monetary policy. That's where it's at. Start to learn the more details of how the FOMC system works, what's going on in those meetings. What does this chart mean? And what does this chart mean? And this is going to help us so much when the top comes out. We've already packed our bags. Everybody's looking good for the most part. We're just making some modifications, doing some add-ons from here, right? The biggest test, and this is where people historically have made the largest mistakes, is during time to sell. And you can see everybody who really geeks out during selling, who really misses the top horrendously, they have no idea what's going on with the monetary policy. They're just making correlations that are secondary catalysts. Like a lot of time, these exchange listings, the teams are so smart. They have guys who went to college to study all of this economic type of data. They're correlating the crescendo 10 BPS upgrade. They're correlating these new exchange listings directly with monetary policy. A great example of this, DEAI. So we got the MEXC listing here, and then right around 17 cents, boom, we get the Gate.io listing. And now we've got rate cuts right here. So they're just getting all the pieces together for the big catalyst. And this really underlines the importance of FOMC meetings. This crypto that's about to go super bullish gets on MEXC, does not break out. Gets on Gate.io, does not break out. The FOMC then cuts rates.
Exciting now.
And now it starts rocketing to the upside. What was the biggest catalyst and what was the secondary catalyst? Aha! It's FOMC. And when it comes time to sell, this is going to be everything. Because the FOMC, first, they have to stimulate this thing, get it going, and then they got to cool it off too. So they're putting money out on the street and then getting it back off. So the most simplified chart to use to understand this is the one-year bond market. As you can see, as soon as it starts raising rates, so you got to watch the FOMC every 45 days. Even getting into economics and start figuring out supply chain management stuff. Like right now, it's all about jobs and inflation. Inflation's under control. So now the Fed can start abusing the fiat system more. They need to stimulate jobs right now. So hopefully we'll get some bad jobs data or some kind of a financial crisis that we need to stimulate the economy for. And then all of a sudden, these rates go down to zero, because that, ladies and gentlemen, will put this bull market on the map to the next dimension. This will be like the 90s .com bubble, and we will all have Lambos. We will. If it goes to zero. That is what we want. That's the goal. This is what Big Daddy Trump tries to do all the time. Is this bad for future generations? Dude, the fiat system's going to collapse anyway, so we might as well get rich in the meantime, right? And as you can see, as soon as they start raising rates, November 2022, remember that date, and then this date, June. This was the FTX Terra Luna collapse. Those are secondary catalysts. Right here in November, they start raising rates, 25 basis points, and then look at this. New local swing high. The previous yield was 2.5. They get it up to 3 on June 21st. So Sam Bankman-Fried, they don't even need him. They're going to crash the market anyway with monetary policy. It's hidden right in plain sight. And this is our secret to success. We've gone so deep into this rabbit hole, it's getting creepy inside VIP. We start pulling up these bond auctions. So we're actually like doing the paperwork on when they're doing the quantitative easing, how much they're buying, how much they're selling, and on one date. And we started pulling up. I mean, this worked like a charm multiple times. Here on August 26th, the next bond auction was here, starting here, ending here, and then there was another one here to here. As the bull market is peaking, these bond auctions can show us exactly when the tops are forming. So, super important. Super big stuff. Most of us already have our Kaspa bags packed, and we're starting to look to diversify into altcoins. And here's where the 24-point checklist is a must-have system. It's a must-have tool because we've been able to root out one of the major issues in crypto is not getting wrecked. Riggedy, wrecked, son! We're already taking on an enormous amount of risk. If you're going to start doing high-end leverage trades like we'll do inside VIP, obviously you're going to take some kicks to the teeth when you're using 10x leverage trades. But when we're just trading altcoins with a clear understanding of monetary policy and proper on-chain dynamics, we'll be able to do this at an uncanny flawless level, which our altcoin trading literally has been. Now, we have a few that haven't broken out yet. Of course, we're showing you all the winners, but it's not like we're one of those groups that's over diversifying. And this is another thing that will hurt your gains a lot. And I know it's very attractive for beginners. People will get 20 positions plus. They're like, I need some DeFi, I need some AI, memes, and layer ones. And then they'll spread it out into 4 or 5 of their favorite picks in each sector. Right? And they do the full portfolio. You're not going to get stupid rich doing that. You're not. Taking an average on everything. Plus, here's another issue. You're now starting to take on massive human error. So my bag, I have a 4-bagger. I've got Kaspa, Spectral, DEAI, and Moonwell. So I'm heavily vested in AI, artificial intelligent agents. And if these pop off and I get my hit, plus Kaspa, I mean, it's over. It's over. It will be so amazing. So I'm really winding back. And in order to do this, to solidify your capital and really focus it like a laser gun, You got to go through every single detail because, like we showed with that one blender, it's easy to get duped by teams. The teams are always doing shady stuff. Like Alphium, very shady team. 200-year vesting? Come on. Like Alphium's going to be around in 200 years. Give me a break, right? That's an immediate red flag. When you actually go in and start looking at the dApps they have, because that's their big thing. They're like, we have dApps. They're doing $50 worth of liquidity on them. That's something that the team could put together overnight. The code they use, this is step 3. The code that they use is called Ralphium. So the creators from Solana, they're not going to come over and migrate going to college for Rust, being trained in that. They're not trained in Solidity. They have to know this custom coding language, really cutting them off from the rest of the crypto world. This is, and the majority of crypto projects are like a meme coin of technology on chain. So we've got to keep that in mind, as well as we got to start shifting gears and getting ready for this bull run. Because once the run-up phase finally takes place, as we can see previously here, February 2021, that was the last run-up right here on altcoins, and then you get a distribution phase. The Fed just greenlit this year's distribution phase because they're planning on bringing the rates down and then holding them down for a year. Once the run-up phase takes place, everything's going to change. There will be new listings coming off left and right every single day. Looking ahead into the IDO, ICO section, a lot of them are geared up into this sector called SoFi. Whether it's artificial intelligence, these are a list of projects geared up, ready to go in the SoFi area, which means that they're connecting to social media, Twitter, things of this nature, and then they're able to help people generate profit. Greed is one of the #1 drivers. So once Bitcoin reaches $150,000, $200,000 in this bull run, and using that repeating trendline system, we can see this trend line happened during the last bull run, same broadening wedge pattern, same exact 2 trend lines. This is how we got that creepy accurate 93.86 numbers. We just follow this all the way up into December, November of 2025. And now we're right around 120 to 150. Very achievable, very realistic, and we can see this on the chart for Bitcoin. Trish is bringing up a great point about getting ready and preparing. We've all heard the hype about Kaspa recently about, yeah, get your Kaspa off of MEXC. I saw a post on Twitter. Somebody says they're actually halting withdrawals for the next 72 hours for Kaspa on MEXC. I can't verify that. If anybody's seen that, let us know in the comments right now. Here's the kicker. We're all waiting on this Kraken listing. We want to have multiple avenues to distribute our bag when the bull run takes place. It's no rush, but you can never be too prepared either. Therefore, swaps like Changely, you want an Uphold account, you're going to want a Kraken account, and you're going to want multiple bank accounts that can handle crypto when it comes time to start selling. Break it up piece by piece. I mean, this is just some of the basics, but they're so important. Also, I saw this guy who is in the Kaspa community. What was his name? Tommy Does Crypto. And he got zoinked for $20,000 in a Telegram scam. And he was talking about how all of his Kaspa is in one wallet. And if he had hooked that up, he would have been completely robbed. Just for the sake of argument, and because they're only $60 a piece, just spread your Kaspa out across some multiple wallets. It's not going to hurt anybody. It'll help you sleep at night, and it prevents you from waking up in the middle of the night, zombie clicking on something that you don't want to be clicking on. All right? Massively important. Right now, we're actually crossing the gravitational field. Establishing this as support, absolutely so key. This right here is a 5x leverage trade all day. Now, in yesterday's call out, I opened a 5x leverage trade and it survived from tip to toe this pullback. 5x here we can get away with. We're taking candy from a baby. Actually, you have to be outside of the United States, but a 5x leverage trade would have made it. But now's a great time. And there's going to be a swing trade opportunity gearing up for Kaspa. There's a big breakout coming. This is big, crossing this gravitational field. As we can see, there's not a ton of resistance to the 18-cent range. And we'll be reclaiming that very soon. At latest, a week after the FOMC meeting. As we can see, if this makes a symmetrical triangle, right? Kaspa's repeating symmetrical triangle, that would be right around the FOMC meeting. So this is the most bearish. You know, another thing that really helps up the bottom line? Having a trading journal. How many people have a trading journal right now? Because one of the bonuses when you join VIP is you automatically get a detailed thanks for the super chat, Enzo. You automatically get this detailed. I guess he likes what this offers as a trading journal. Because we've been keeping track of these Kaspa leverage trade plans, going over all the details of our system that we teach, of this repeating trend line. Remember the repeating X and Y axis? All the way since back here. So we got everybody in on cold storage here, and then we started stacking up on leverage trades right here. Oh yeah, this is something else I wanted to bring into the light. How similar these two breakouts are. Look at this. We challenge and we get a fake out above the x-axis right here on May 10th. We get a pull down, and this is the wick-off break-off method 101. And I'll bring that up in a second to show you what wick-off is. We're getting lateral bounces, and then we get and clear it. Look at here. We're here under the x-axis. We're below the x-axis. We get another breakout exactly like here. It starts under the x-axis, breaks above the gravitational field, and then it comes down and finds support. Now, previously, it bounced off the top side of the x-axis. This time, it bounced off the y-axis from the prior cup and handle. So, almost identical. Frighteningly similar. Now, people who don't bother to study technical analysis will overlook this, but it's very important. And it works like a charm when you start combining it with the wick-off system, where wick-off has these breakout chartings. As you get into it, this is an augmented version of wick-off, and it's exactly what we're talking about here as well, in a different form. This is the render trade. This is back in October. This is a multiplier for everybody while we were waiting on Kaspa. And we also have this identical trade for Solana at 130, AVAX, Bitcoin, and render, $5 buy zone. So we combined it the FOMC cutting rates, so it's not naked technical analysis, and then we put the whole puzzle piece together, that these falling wedges that we just looked at on all the charts, they're also on the total 3, and it's all because the FOMC delayed the rate cuts. Therefore, knowing what caused the downside, connecting the chart with fundamentals, we know the catalyst. Once they start to cut rates, we'll get a breakout, massive breakout. So pretty funky stuff. Very educational for everybody. Yeah, it's taking off, bro. It's absolutely taking off. This is hands down a 5x leverage trade opportunity right now. This is a swing trade. It's good to go. This support here on the y-axis, this is legit. We're not getting under this again. That's going to hold. And now that we've finally made the third pass, everybody who knows about trend lines in general knows, just like the Elliott wave theory, trend lines come in 3 to 5. Typically, on average, it will take 3 to 5 passes, just like the Elliott wave theory, to break a trend line. So here we go, 1, 2, now we're at our third pass. So this is the one. This flips to support, super good. Now let's get really into the nitty gritty here. We almost flipped into support yesterday. And then we got wicked down, but now we're good to go. We're seeing a different formation here as we're crossing with this cup. That could also be a bullish signal. Go for it. Yeah, Bitcoin poised also, but 100,000 level is something that's going to be huge. When we look up anything on, I was pulling up some documents for VIP on trend lines. No. And no, I can't find that document. One of the keys that they actually brought up in this article was exactly what we used in the Moonwell trade to prevent everybody from buying at 10. And that's talk about round numbers. Humans make the most errors whenever they're around a round number. For whatever reason, it's like a black cat walking across the street. When a trader finds a round number, $1, 10 cents, 100,000, they will instantly make a mistake. Everything will become obscure and offset. Day traders wake up every morning. They look for gap up, gap down, earnings reports, and then round numbers because there's always good trading around them. The 100,000 level is going to be key, very key. And it will be interesting to see how Bitcoin breaks above it. Remember how much of an issue 30,000 was for a round number? We were stuck down here at 30,000 for a hot minute. And this study of both Moonwell and Bitcoin at 100,000 is going to play dividends when we finally flip this into Kaspa at $1, because that's going to be the big milestone to get over is $1. Once we smoke $1 and we're running into $1.25, $1.50, $1.80, now we're free and clear. But that $1, that's going to be tough to beat. That's going to hold us back for a minute. People will trade ridiculously around there. The goofballs like Sepral are going to be, unloading their bag right there. There's been so much FUD around Kaspa recently. It's almost mystical about this, the level that people are just, they're so afraid of Kaspa. I don't know what the thing is. They're like, they feel like they missed out. I just see on social media, it's almost, there's a cult-like following of people FUDing it. It's really ridiculous. And right now, we're finally going to put them all in the darkness again. Remember back here when it was hovering down underneath this power law, everybody was like, oh, this is it. It's going to 7 cents. And we were like, no way. It's impossible to go below 10. Finally, we get some reprisal and everything's ready to kick off. So epic. So the big question at hand is, looking at our charts, is the total 3 about to absolutely moonshot right now? Because the next leg up is $1 trillion. We're right here, and we got here extremely fast. One more leg up, and it's on like Donkey Kong. And we've been seeing a lot of movements in layer ones. This is super bullish, as we know, with these render Solana AVAX type of picks. As the money goes into layer ones, just like we showed with Kaspa and Pepe, it'll get pulled out and then into the mid caps and the under ranking ones. So the total 3 set for massive upside. The sectors that it's targeting, let's take a look at the render chart in detail. Seeing how we had a pretty legit call out on that. Oh yeah, this can absolutely use another leg up. Let's take a look at the statistics and see what's going on. This is like an RSI MACD. So for people who are hardcore into technical analysis, or if you're more of a beginner, these are like RSIs that are much more applicable to crypto. When we use them on the 1-day chart, you'll see an immediate correlation. Top, top, bottom, bottom. Top, top. You see what I'm saying? Bottom, bottom. Highs, lows. And by using multiple oscillators, it's like 2 pendulums swinging. We can go even one step deeper on this and see if it's going to be a higher low or a lower low as these oscillators swing back and forth, just like a pendulum. Obviously, we want to buy when the stochastics is low. But there are some exceptions to that rule when it creates more of a bull flag type of pattern. So right now, like here, notice the stochastics is up and then it really starts to break out. This is a bull flag, and this happens when our other oscillator, dubbed the fuel tank, is really beefy. So right now on render, there's absolutely a case for a bull flag. Without a doubt. And now zooming in at more of the candle structure, this is a bit of a falling wedge on top of a flag. So one of the printouts that you get when we say that you actually get a trading journal, we mean a physical trading journal. So you got your fundamentals covered with the 7 printouts. One of them, now 2, has been dubbed because we just had a new listing, which is something else that we do quite effectively inside our group. We had picked out a GameFi project that was geared up to be bullish based on a report done 8 months ago. Since then, they completely rebranded the tokenomics. They changed the name. They changed the token unlocks. They probably stole a lot of money from the project and shrunk it down. Anyway, you get these 7 24-point reports on the projects that have been just top performing. Look at these. Moonwell, 3 months, 400. Spectral, Double Up, 01. Aether, which is the leading GPU powerhouse. These guys have more hash power than anybody else online. So you get all these reports so you can become an expert in artificial intelligence sector of crypto. That's our specialty. and it's good for vetting any other sector of crypto as well. But we also have 2 reports on projects that are no good. We did the one Blender, which was immediately identified as no good, just showing how the teams are so sneaky and they can hide in like these giant red flags anywhere. When we filed the report, it was up here and we were like, yeah, do not buy it. Do not buy it. And since then, it's done nothing but dump. With all of this fundamental stuff, you also get 84 questions to cut, copy, paste, and use in AI, and classic patterns in large font. So this is just a printout that shows the rising wedge, the falling wedge, how these perform on average, just like a book that you would buy at Barnes and Noble. But this time it's the charts that just happened like last week, last month, charts that you were looking at, which is much better than a moldy, stale old book. And this is the coup d'etat. And we got another update coming for macroeconomics here, where we really study monetary policy, sometimes even overseas, like the Bank of Japan carry trade. Getting into these details will suddenly just uncover a detail that will help you make an absolute game-changing winning trade. Like, speaking of FOMC overseas policy, this project, GameFi, is based in Japan. So once we heard why everything was crashing in August, we started planning to buy this, added on to it because it was so bullish. We're like, get more. It's actually going to keep going. The add-on tripled up from tip to toe. We take profit here, crashes. This is connected to monetary policy. And if you want to sell your bag on the top, join our VIP group and start to study this with us. There's loads of talented guys inside the Discord, master meme coin traders, stuff like that. And we have the whole AI and charting system to get you up there. There's already splinter cells, other organizations that have taken our systems and then just open up a new group. And they're like, yeah, well, we know the repeating trendline system and we're doing simple moving averages with it and putting a spin on it. And that's great. That's exactly what the group is for. So yeah, you got to sell the top. You got to know this stuff, man. You can go to college for it, but we can debrief you enough to be able to trade off it. If you were totally in the dark and you didn't realize that the reason that crypto just broke to the upside was in part because of the FOMC policy, the FOMC meeting being on the 7th, definitely this is the group for you, because you'll be able to learn the most here. And you get to watch financial TV and finally understand what's going on, which is priceless. Super priceless. This breakout right now, this is getting steep because we're seeing this W pattern. This could be the one. This could really get going. In the worst case scenario, we got with that Fibonacci extension, we're going to end up with something like this symmetrical triangle, which we see so much on Kaspa. When we go into the pattern directory, one of the most common charts, and this is for all different ones like Rune, and I actually wanted to update the Rune chart. This is a trade that we did way back in the day on Rune. It was a cup and handle, and it ended up doing a augmentation of the cup and handle or rounded bottom pattern where it did another cup. This was one of our most epic. We did a 3x leverage trade on this, realizing how volatile Rune was, and we were hungry back here. We were like, dude, we need gains. I will hunt these gains down like an animal. 3x leverage traded this, and this went to like $8, dude. So this was like one of these sickest trades. cup and handle directory, Moonwell cup and handle. Everything right now is a cup and handle. You want to know why? Because the total 3 is a giant cup and handle. So when you start looking at all these crypto charts, you're probably like, dude, somebody put something in the water. All I see is cup and handles. It's not that. It's just that they're everywhere right now. And they're showing massive break to the upside. Back to the point we were making. One of the biggest repeating patterns on Kaspa is the symmetrical triangle. And it's actually made from the y-axis and x-axis combining together. The symmetrical triangle is more of a fickle pattern, if you will. Rising wedge, falling wedge, cup and handle. These have like a 90% to 100% ratio of which way they're going to perform. The symmetrical triangle is a coin toss, and a lot of it depends on market sentiment, general market sentiment connecting to FOMC.
The shape charge indicates that they are technically proficient.
Looking back here, this symmetrical triangle, Bitcoin ETF, fake out to the downside break. This one, May, FOMC's talking about rate cuts. Massive upside on Kaspa. And this was when everything was previously bearish. This might not have even been caused by FOMC. This might have been more on-chain dynamics. Because what happened from here in May to August on the total 3 was a dumpster fire. This is back when you held Kaspa, you were like a maverick genius. From May, right here, May to August, look at the total 3, dumpster fire. That's what we were seeing all across these render Solana type of trades. You were holding Kaspa, then you're a rocket scientist. Because all it did was go up. Excuse me, wrong chart. Here. All it did was go up while everything dumped, which showed one thing to me. These guys see Kaspa as a store of value. They see it as a protection against anything. In the scenario, the FOMC didn't go up and say, we're cutting rates and now guaranteeing a distribution phase for the bull market. This is Satoshi's secret, by the way. If you haven't seen a Satoshi secret video yet, you've absolutely got to watch one. We've got 3 different ones that you can watch in a playlist below, which is going to actually connect Kaspa, Bitcoin, and everything to Tesla, GameStop, the whole 9 yards. You're just going to unpack the entire world of finance. Look at this. This is Tesla. Elon Musk, who was hand in hand battling Gary Gensler. He despises Gary Gensler because he was going on the Joe Rogan podcast, smoking a blunt and saying, oh yeah, this and this about Tesla. And they were like, oh dude, you're hit. You can't go on the air and say cool stuff about Tesla because you're manipulating the stock price. Anyway, that's why Dogecoin came around. Elon Musk was throwing a slap in the face to the FOMC. He was like, I pity the fool who messes with Elon Musk, tells me what I can't say. Since the SEC had no jurisdiction over crypto, he goes on Saturday Night Live and says, hey, I'm buying this. And he picked the most random crypto, Dogecoin. And he said, I'm buying this one. And it's like rockets up. Now it's a top 10 asset. That's an insane story, but it's all correlated around Elon Musk and this. So look at these dates. Remember Satoshi's secret, right? On this chart, 1-year treasury bonds, rate cut, February 2020. Look at Tesla 1 year later, February 2020. Look at Bitcoin, February 2020. Look at GameStop. I was a GameStop guy. I got GameStop. I showed my receipt in a bunch of other videos. I don't have it open right now. I got GameStop here, hooked up with Roaring Kitty, where he elaborated on this FOMC details, which I'm sharing with everybody now. And then we added on here, and I show this add-on, and we get this massive rip. January 28th, which is like 20 days away from Bitcoin's peak. It's all connected to this chart, which is the same as this chart. It's just a different way of looking at it. And we're seeing the FOMC is buying all these bonds. They're buying all these mortgage-backed securities. This is like, you know, those movies, The Big Short, Margin Call. Not so much The Wolf of Wall Street. This is what they're talking about. And so you will know enough of this to apply it to your trading and make money off of it. That's what we do. That's our specialty besides AI. That's why we have the Illuminati sign. It's knowing about money. That's the secret. Knowledge is power. So we know their secrets. Satoshi knew them so well, he wove the Bitcoin halving into this phenomenon. Because it just so happens every 4 years, right? You get the Bitcoin halvings here, bonk. The other rate cuts are here. Rate cuts, halving. You see what's going on? They're all next to each other. And this time, obviously, the rate cuts were a bit delayed. But it's all part of Satoshi's design to absorb the cash. And we want to flip this around and use it to our advantage with trading. Absolutely. I see some Dogecoin bulls. Oh, Dogecoin's going to go way up. I don't know about number 2 to Bitcoin. You know what's interesting is in these articles, example, Michael Saylor, they get so close to mentioning Kaspa. It almost seemed who watched Trump speak at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Tennessee. The first thing he said on the stage was he started to talk about Israel. Connected to Kaspa. Was it a coincidence? Maybe. But they need to stay with the narrative. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. But we all know Kaspa is Bitcoin 2.0. So eventually, as cryptocurrency broadens, right now in Turkey, they're actually showing, we've all seen that clip from the news in Turkey. They have Kaspa right on mainstream television. This is from 400 days ago. But in my opinion, because of its connections to BlackRock, Vanguard, Jane Street, Kaspa is going to be on TV this bull run in the US. And that is where it's at. Absolutely where it's at. And this entire market is about to shift. How many people in the comments experienced a bull run? If you saw a bull run and you were in, hit thumbs up. Because what's going to happen is the dynamics of the projects that are getting listed and that the new people want to invest in are completely different. I'm going to show you an example of a DeFi degen project from the last market cycle called Rich Quack. This isn't the full chart. It actually goes back way farther. But this is where crypto started getting its really bad reputation of degen DeFi. With staking, yielding, nodes as a service, nodes that actually don't do anything. You're just locking your crypto up for a yield. And it has these Ponzi-nomics hidden in the back. That's what Gary Gensler was supposed to stop, was the Ponzi-nomics of everything. But what he did was he went directly after the layer ones. And when the George Soros DEA or whoever it was that appointed him, they went after Gary Gensler specifically. You want to know why? He was turned down as a legal representative by Coinbase, Binance, by everybody. He was trying to get a job in crypto. He flew over to see CZ in Japan, and the rumor around the water cooler is CZ dissed him hard, like made him wait in the lobby, blew him off for a couple of days or whatever while he had flown overseas for the meeting, and then like met him, talked with him, and I can just imagine CZ like, oh, you think you're so smart, American, right? Like, You know, they're overseas in China. They got like the smartest guys in the world all around them. They're like, yeah, we really need your help, white boy. And they would not hire him. And then they get Gary Gensler in a position where he can go out and attack CZ. And it was like a personal beef because they dissed him so hard in the meeting. And that's what I heard. So, I mean, he's ridiculous. But the projects are going to change. So here's a picture of what's coming up. These are a couple of plug and play miners that I was trying out from the last cycle top. Match X. This one was called Blocks. I got loads of these. There was a bunch of them that came out. That one Blender is a plug and play project. That one that we have a report on, but then we cut down, that's a plug and play miner. All it is one GPU card per rig. So anybody who knows about GPU mining, why would there be only one card? It's like a novelty act. It's kind of dumb. So when the next wave of investors hits us, and they will come foaming at the mouth, whether it's from the stock market, the poker room, real estate, water cooler, they're just going to see Bitcoin hits 150,000. Jesse's got a Lamborghini, although I don't believe in buying frivolous things. It's just for the point of getting high score. That's it. Just, you know, rock it like that. They are going to come running to jump into crypto, and they're not going to buy Bitcoin at 150,000. That's not how it works. That's not how altcoin works. What's pushing this up here, looking at the prior cycle, first we get the run up and then we get the distribution. To really see this in full effect, let's look at AVAX. Because this is going to prepare everybody for a very important event that's coming up, and it may or may not affect Kaspa, and we're going to dub this Heartbreak Alley. After the run-up happens, but before the distribution phase, there's profit taking. Look at how it went down for AVAX. Runs up to 60, crashes down to 10, bounces back to 150. And it was here, after they got the injection of cash, that they started building on-chain dynamics. The one bullish thing about Casplex, even though it created all this selling pressure, every single time you mint a KRC20 meme coin, you are selling that Kaspa, because that's what the teams do the instant you give it to them. They are not investors. They do not care about Kaspa. They're just cashing out and running to the bank. And they're making frivolous amounts of cash doing it. They have debt. They had to borrow money to market these things, everything like that. We're already ahead of schedule because with AVAX, they started developing the on-chain utilities like Trader Joe and whatnot in here. And then we got more run-up. And what this is this is on-chain action actually driving the crypto project up. This is when all the transactions are taking place. So a great crypto like Ethereum, as everything gets going, that's what it gets its upside from. So one thing that we want to start looking for as we're gem hunting, going through the 24-point checklist system, these have been doing so well recently, and each one of them has a direct connection to this bond market. How do we know that? Because when the FOMC meetings take place, these jump up. And as rudimentary as that sounds, it's a big catalyst, man. It's showing us the investment banking class, that's when they're going to manage their books. These guys only bet on sure things.
Public's out there throwing darts at a board sport. I don't throw darts at a board. I bet on sure things.
Once the FOMC gives them data, they adjust their portfolio accordingly. Ultimately, copy trading these central banks, this is where it's at. This is the most profitable. So while these have been showing some very healthy upside recently, there's an even more underlying dynamic here, which is every time this FOMC meeting happens, we get massive kickback to the upside, particularly on Kaspa. Look at this. This is just directly tying it to quantitative easing. This is showing that's where these guys are spending their money. So when the bull market starts, when the FOMC starts really putting cash on the street, changing the quantitative easing, instead of selling off their assets, they now start buying them back. And this goes from slowing down the curve to maybe even a jump up. Like, remember this jump up we just showed? Just that one jump on February to March caused the altcoin market cap to go boink. We want them to do that big time. And if Trump has any influence beyond his desk and he can push the Fed around or get them to do what he wants, it's on.
You're fired.
Starting with the firing of Gary Gensler. And this is very complex because now we're starting to talk about the United States debt, breaking down the housing market, everything that goes into this. We don't really need to go down this rabbit hole. You can go to college for this and it's fun to research and it will help you a lot more than a lot of the on-chain data. But we only need to know enough to trade off of it. And some details like that. Like the bond auctions, this is a pretty good tip for when to sell. We've been pulling up these actual bond auctions, which are really crazy. How accurate they are. Let's see. Yeah, so we've been pulling up a bunch of these and it lines up with these peaks, showing this is when these guys have their checkbooks out. This is when they're buying, and then the bond sales are over with. So very insightful and will help a lot on the top. So the projects that we want to get, back to the point that we're making, there's so much information. This is why a VIP is so crucial, because there's all these rabbit holes to go down. We get lost a lot of times in explanation. It's been rocketing so up because the investment banking class already knows that these projects are going to stimulate the up and coming bull market as the new degen, DeFi, or whatever it is that's going to be the face of this crypto. Hopefully they got it regulated enough so it's not all DeFi degen. And it looks like they have with their SoFi applications and their AI. They'll be able to keep the greed narrative utilizing AI. So as the bull market is going, we need to look for projects that are going to be able to spawn new projects, which is exactly what DEAI and Spectral can do. Moonwell, DeFi, a bit different. Desync, same thing. Desync is like an Ethereum naming service. This can recalibrate names on websites. So definitely part of a growing ecosystem in the crypto sphere. Desync, no matter which way the bull market unfolds. So all of these are like gremlins, if you will. You get them wet, you feed them past midnight, all of a sudden they start spawning out and multiplying rapidly. Spectral and 0-1. The focus of my portfolio besides Kaspa. Huge allocations in these. And the go-to is, as the distribution phase happens, these guys are going to start spawning and unloading, creating more cryptos. Kaspa, right on this crucial level right now. We're right on, directly on top of the gravitational field. This is exactly what stopped the breakout during the KRC20 launch, right here. But now we're getting on top of it, getting set to go, ready to start making new highs, consolidating, getting ready for a breakout. Super exciting and epic to put all the fudders in place. There's a couple of other creators that we've gone around and started making bets with as everybody was starting to panic once we crossed below the power law line. We were saying, hey, how about we do a shout out on channel for shout out on channel with all these guys that were saying, we're going to 7 cents. We never even got a wick below 10. And that was my side of the bet. So people owe me a lot of shout outs right now, but I don't think that they're going to collect on any of them. In fact, most of those guys just turned around and blocked me. Super epic times right now. And the next leg up is on our hands as we speak. Just coiled, ready to explode. This was the local swing high right at 780 billion. And we're wicking above it right now. This clearly a cup and handle pattern. And as we know in our directory of cup and handles, we can see right here, 300 to 500% upside average on the total 3. So this would put us at $4 trillion from a breakout of this cup and handle pattern. Pretty decent sizing. We've also got to factor in popularity, M2. There's a lot going on, but this breakout is going to be huge. And once we start crossing this 1 trillion, this can happen as soon as the quantitative easing starts to take place. And that's going to be a massive driver. So keep your eye on not just the FOMC interest rates, which everybody covers. And once you get involved with this, it'll be the easiest to understand. You can go one step deeper, and we'll be doing some posts on this inside VIP to assure that people are up to date on quantitative easing. Because as they start buying back and slowing down the distribution of their balance sheet, it dynamically affects the market. Like just this minor transaction caused the altcoin markets to rip. So we're looking for this to play out on the total 3 in major ways. So it's a historic bull run. I can see that we've got some people that think the KRC20 minting is not going to the teams. Okay. Let's ask artificial intelligence just to get a third-party opinion. And when we do this, we'll be able to bring it up, links, articles, documents, white papers, to see and to underline the point that it's making. I'm not trying to say that your point's invalid. I think it's great that you have a different opinion. But let's see what AI has to say in the documents linked to that. What do you guys think about that question? You think it'll do? If you have another question you want me to type in there, another way to word this, let me know. Okay, so we'll punch it in. This is just a simple thinking machine. It's just Super Chat GPT. You can also use Agent GPT. Okay, so we've got two printouts here, and it looks like there's two different models. So you might be referring, Miles, to one of these models, and there might be a whole nother model that's behind it. So great question. I'm glad that you brought this up. And this is one of the tools that we use all the time. And of course, these rabbit holes go very deep. And so it's important to have artificial intelligence look at everything. For one, we're super biased. So obviously we're going to think KRC20 is going to be bullish for Kaspa, but the AI will tell us a different story. As it says right here, therefore, whether the act of minting sends Kaspa KRC20 team members the chosen depends on the model. In the fair mint model, no. In the pre-allocation model, a specific amount of tokens can be reserved for the team members as defining during deployment. Okay, so there's like a kind of layers to this, I guess. But then we could, of course, go even deeper into this, find out which ones used which model and how much the teams got. Therefore, somewhere along the lines, we're pretty sure we're going to find teams that are getting it and selling. Okay, so Miles saying the AI is wrong. Well, it's got some documents that it's using to cite these in Gate.io. So, which we can't access without a VPN. But they've got links to it. So it's not really just the AI's opinion. They go as far as to now linking official documents. You see what I'm saying? So there's some validity to what it's saying. And I understand your point. As you brought up, there are two different models. But just to show you how great of a tool AI is. And something that when you get familiar with, particularly when researching this FOMC type of stuff, it's like having a tutor right next to you and this on-chain data. So of course we have sort of guides to help you, the 24-point checklist, as well as we just have 84 questions you can cut, copy, paste about any project into either ChatGPT or my favorite, and this one goes like really deep, is Agent GPT. You want to do this on 4.0 instead of 3.5 because it just goes farther. And you can just use it as web crawling to get the links and independent thinking to build models. So using this, we could pull up the teams and how much they got with pre-allocation, et cetera, et cetera. But there's that. So we're finally there. We're up, we're out. We've gotten out of the downward price channel and we're ready to rock and roll. So from here on, finally, blue skies for Kaspa. And interestingly enough, we finally got that bounce off the Y-axis. which is almost identical to the wick off of this one, but this time it's off the x-axis. So super cool stuff. This is it, guys. The bull market is ever so encroaching. We're about to reach new all-time highs. New all-time highs on the total 3. And then from there, the sky's the limit. Thanks for checking out this video, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Sun Tzu, The Art of War. His battle is won, and four.